All right, so today we're diving deep into the world of J. Robert Oppenheimer.
The father of the atomic bomb?
Exactly, but with a bit of a twist.
Oh,
We're looking at him through the lens of a Chinese language video.
interesting.
Yeah, it's really fascinating to see how his story and the recent movie about him are perceived, you know.
In a different cultural context.
Yeah, exactly. Like in a country with such a, you know, complex relationship with nuclear weapons.
It offers a unique perspective, for sure.
Definitely. And one of the things that struck me was how much this source focuses on Oppenheimer, the man.
You mean as opposed to...
Yeah, like the technical details of the bomb itself.
Oh, I see.
It's more about his internal struggles, the pressure he faced, all the moral questions.
Right, the human element.
Exactly. And I think that speaks volumes about the impact of scientific discovery,
Absolutely, it's universal.
no matter where you are in the world.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's start with Oppenheimer's early life.
All right.
This guy was basically a real-life Doogie Howser.
Real?
Oh, yeah. Born into wealth, spoke like 6 languages by the time most kids are, you know.
Learning their ABCs.
Yeah, exactly. English, French, German, Italian, Dutch.
Wow.
Oh, and Sanskrit.
Sanskrit.
Yeah, he even graduated from Harvard at 21.
That's incredible.
It kind of makes you wonder what you've been doing with your life, right?
Well, it's important to remember that
Yeah.
Oppenheimer's privileged upbringing played a huge role in shaping his path.
Oh, absolutely.
Those opportunities weren't available to everyone,
Right.
and the source does acknowledge that.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's there.
It's a reminder that even in stories of, individual brilliance, societal context matters.
Yeah, fair point. But here's where it gets interesting.
Okay.
Apparently, Oppenheimer was a total klutz in the lab.
What?
Seriously, a walking disaster zone.
You're kidding.
He broke so much equipment at Cambridge
No way.
that he had to switch from experimental to theoretical physics.
Wow, talk about a lucky break for humanity.
Right. Imagine if he'd stayed in experimental physics. Who knows what kind of chaos.
It makes you think.
Yeah, it really highlights how unpredictable life can be.
It does.
Like, what if Oppenheimer had possessed,
Yeah.
you know.
The steady hands of a surgeon.
Exactly. And so, well, the opposite of that.
Right.
Maybe he would have revolutionized medicine
Instead of
creating a weapon that could wipe out entire cities.
It's a chilling thought.
Yeah. Things that definitely take a dark turn there.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's a fascinating example of how these seemingly insignificant events can have massive consequences.
Absolutely.
And speaking of consequences, things really heat up with the discovery of nuclear fission.
And the outbreak of World War II.
Exactly. The source does a great job of conveying that global panic that set in when everyone realized,
An atomic bomb was possible.
yeah, especially with the Nazis in the picture.
Right. The stakes were incredibly high.
It wasn't just panic, though.
What do you mean?
There was a sense of urgency, too.
Oh, I see.
Like the clock is ticking and the question becomes,
Can science outpace the destructive ambitions of a regime like Nazi Germany?
exactly, it's a race against time
A race with the highest possible stakes.
and the fate of the world hanging in the balance.
It's a pretty intense setup.
Oh, absolutely, and that's where the Manhattan Project comes in.
The top-secret scientific sprint to beat the Nazis to the atomic punch.
Right, and it's fascinating how this Chinese source frames the Manhattan Project.
How so?
It's not just an American story, you know?
Right.
It's presented as this pivotal moment in global history.
With lasting repercussions for everyone.
Exactly, including China.
That's an important point.
Yeah, it's like the whole world is holding its breath.
Watching this race unfold.
And at the center of it all is Oppenheimer.
This unlikely leader.
Yeah, tasked with managing a team of, well, let's just say eccentric geniuses.
I can only imagine.
I mean, try to picture wrangling a room full of Einsteins.
Each with their own theories.
And egos.
Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
Oh, definitely.
So how did he manage?
Well, that's a story for another time, but trust me, it's a wild ride.
I bet. It's almost comical when you think about it.
What is?
You've got these brilliant minds working on a weapon of unimaginable power, but they can't agree on where to order lunch.
Oh, come on.
I'm serious. The source even mentions a Soviet spy working right alongside them.
Wait, a Soviet spy?
Yeah, a guy named Klaus Fuchs.
No way, are you serious?
I am. It's like something out of a spy thriller, except with way more equations.
So, in the middle of this top-secret project to build the most powerful weapon ever, they've got a mole leaking information to the enemy.
Apparently so.
You'd think they'd have, better background checks or
It
something.
was a different time, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
The Cold War was just heating up. Paranoia was running rampant.
Right. But still, it makes you wonder about the level of security.
Doesn't it? I mean, if they couldn't keep a spy out of their top secret lab.
What hope did they have of controlling this incredibly dangerous technology once it was out in the world?
Exactly. It's a bit unsettling when you think about
It's like they were so focused on winning the race.
that they forgot to think about what would happen after they crossed the finish line.
Yeah. Exactly. And speaking of crossing the finish line, let's talk about the Trinity test.
That pivotal moment when Oppenheimer witnessed the terrifying power he helped unleash.
The source quotes his famous line, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds."
Wow, talk about foreshadowing.
Right.
It's a chilling line, isn't it? And it perfectly captures that moral dilemma at the heart of Oppenheimer's story.
Definitely.
He achieved something truly groundbreaking, but the weight of that achievement, the potential for destruction, it clearly haunted him.
You know what's interesting is that this Chinese source doesn't shy away from criticizing the U.S.
For using the atomic bombs on Japan.
Yeah, it's presented as a controversial move,
Yeah.
one that's still debated even today.
Right, and it kind of reframes Oppenheimer's post-war transformation.
How so?
Well, he becomes this a vocal advocate for international control of atomic energy.
Almost like he's trying to atone for his role in creating this weapon,
Exactly. He even opposes the development of the hydrogen bomb.
which is even more powerful than the atomic bomb.
Right. It's like he's saying, okay, we've gone far enough, maybe even too far.
Makes you wonder if he saw the hydrogen bomb as a line that shouldn't be crossed.
The point of no return.
Yeah, like maybe he felt a responsibility to speak out, to try to prevent the world from spiraling into an even more terrifying arms race.
Absolutely. And this internal struggle, this shift from scientist to conscience.
That's what makes Oppenheimer's story so compelling.
Even decades later, it speaks to the ethical responsibility that comes with scientific discovery.
Right, the idea that knowledge without conscience can have devastating consequences.
Exactly. And then, of course, there's the whole Red Scare debacle.
Oh yeah. Oppenheimer, despite his contributions to national security, gets caught up in this wave of anti-communist paranoia.
And ends up losing his security clearance.
It's a classic case of no good deed goes unpunished, right?
It's almost Shakespearean, isn't it?
How so?
The man who helped build the ultimate weapon is brought down by suspicion and fear.
It really highlights the dangers of unchecked political extremism.
Absolutely, how it can distort reality and destroy even those who have served their country faithfully.
And the irony is that, despite everything, President Kennedy wanted to redeem Oppenheimer.
By awarding him the Enrico Fermi Award.
Right. But tragically, both men died before the ceremony could take place.
Talk about a cruel twist of fate.
It adds another layer of tragedy to Oppenheimer's story.
Doesn't it? It's like he's forever denied the recognition he deserved.
Haunted by the shadows of the past.
It's a reminder that sometimes history isn't fair even to those who have shaped its course.
So what do we make of Oppenheimer's legacy, especially when viewed through this Chinese source?
That's a good question.
Here's a guy who achieved scientific greatness, but also had to grapple with the moral weight of his creation.
He was a complex figure, to say the least.
And the source seems to be wrestling with that complexity too.
In what way?
Well, it acknowledges the dangers of nuclear weapons, but it also highlights the role they played in shaping the post-war world.
Particularly the balance of power between nations.
Exactly. It's a nuanced perspective.
One that avoids easy answers or simplistic judgments.
And that's what makes this deep dive so fascinating.
We're not just learning about Oppenheimer.
We're exploring how his story is perceived and interpreted in a different cultural context.
It's a reminder that history is never truly objective.
It's always filtered through the lens of our own experiences and perspective.
Exactly, and that leads us to another intriguing question.
Which is?
How does the recent film Oppenheimer fit into all of this?
Good question.
How does it portray this complex figure and the moral dilemmas he faced? And how does it influence our understanding of this pivotal moment in history?
Those are some great questions and ones we'll definitely explore in our final segment.
Looking forward to it.
But first, let's take a moment to reflect on everything we've discussed so far.
Okay.
From Oppenheimer's early brilliance to his tragic downfall, it's a story filled with twists, turns, and thought-provoking insights.
Absolutely. It's been a fascinating discussion. Welcome back to our deep dive on J. Robert Oppenheimer.
Before the break, we were discussing how this Chinese source views Oppenheimer's story.
Especially his post-war advocacy.
Yeah, really adds a whole other layer to understanding him.
Definitely.
You know, it's interesting how the source connects Oppenheimer's personal struggles with, like,
The anxieties of the post-war world.
yeah, like that global fear that,
The genie was out of the bottle.
exactly, humanity now had the power to destroy itself.
And Oppenheimer becomes
Almost a cautionary figure
a reminder of the unintended consequences.
of scientific progress.
It's a powerful image.
What I find fascinating, though, is that this source doesn't just condemn the creation of the bomb.
You're right.
It acknowledges its devastating power, but also
Delves into the geopolitical
the
realities.
pressures of war, the fear of a Nazi victory.
It's a much more nuanced picture.
Yeah, it doesn't offer easy answers.
Or simplistic judgments.
It's like they're saying, hey, we understand why it happened, but that doesn't mean we have to like it.
It allows for both historical context and moral reflection,
And it really sets the stage for a discussion about Oppenheimer's legacy.
especially with the release of the recent film.
Exactly. Oppenheimer has reignited global interest in this pivotal moment.
And it raises questions.
Yeah, like how does the film handle the ethical complexities of the Manhattan Project
Does it glorify the science?
while downplaying the human cost?
Or does it offer a more balanced perspective?
Well, this source we're looking at is actually a review of the film,
Oh, interesting.
and it's surprisingly critical.
Really?
It praises the technical aspects.
Like the visuals and acting.
Yeah, but it takes issue with what it sees as a romanticized portrayal of Oppenheimer.
Interesting.
It argues that the film focuses too much on his internal struggles.
And not enough on the consequence.
Of his actions, exactly.
It's a valid critique.
It's like they're saying, yes, Oppenheimer was complex and brilliant.
But let's not forget about the hundreds of thousands of people who died.
Because of his creation.
It's a powerful point.
It makes us, as the audience, ask some tough questions.
Like, how do we balance individual stories with collective responsibility?
Exactly. Or how do we judge historical figures
Within their time.
while also holding them accountable?
It's a tricky balance.
And that's where engaging with diverse perspectives is so valuable.
Like this Chinese source.
It offers a different way of seeing Oppenheimer and his legacy,
It reminds us that history is never truly objective.
always shaped by who's telling the story and from what perspective.
Exactly.
So what can we take away from all this? We've explored Oppenheimer's brilliance, his struggles, his triumphs and failures,
We've seen how his story is perceived differently in the US and China.
and how the film has reshaped our understanding of him.
It's been a fascinating journey.
The key takeaway for me is the importance of critical engagement, seeking out multiple perspectives, and recognizing the complexities of history.
I agree. Oppenheimer's story is about so much more than just one man.
It's about choices, consequences, and the legacy of scientific discovery.
And how even the most brilliant minds are not immune to the pressures of their time.
The weight of their decisions.
And the enduring power of conscience.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into the world of J. Robert Oppenheimer. We hope you've enjoyed it and that it's encouraged you to explore the world with open eyes and a questioning mind.